What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 9 of the StaleMates YouTube show. We've been very busy getting all of our highlights done. We got Tyler in the building. We're going to do another topic episode. We got a bunch of topics from Twitter and Instagram from the past week. Going to give our takes on it. Tyler, say what's up.
What's going on, everybody?
All right, Tyler's live from Boulder once again in his apartment. So without further ado, let's get into the topics. Topic number 1 is on Anthony Echemendia from Ohio State. Flow Wrestling just put out a documentary on him. They did, I believe it's called The Crossing. And Tyler, you haven't seen it yet, have you?
I have not. No, not yet.
Yeah, I checked it out. I thought it was pretty good. There's I don't know. I feel like it's the whole journey and stuff on how he got here is kind of what the whole thing is about. I thought it was super interesting. I didn't know it was that difficult to get from Cuba to the U.S., which I guess now that I'm saying it out loud, I kind of understand it because of the whole Cuban,
coronavirus.
Not the coronavirus, the whole, what is it called? The Cuban USA rivalry, whatever.
Yeah, the Cuban Missile Crisis.
That's what I want to say, but I don't know if that's like the only like policy related word I know with Cuba in it, and I'm like that could not even be it. But that's right. Is it?
That makes sense. They would play on like his family's immigration here because I mean he's just entering college, so I was kind of wondering like what they could make a whole Flow video on him about.
So the whole thing is pretty much about like him coming to the U.S. and like his journey to get here, which it is like super insane. You know,
was he born when his father was crossing here?
No, he's the only one that's crossed. So his family stays. I don't want to like give away everything, but his family's still in Cuba, and so it's about his journey alone, like leaving his house and getting to the U.S. And it's really wild. It's insane.
Whoa, okay.
I kind of wish they would have touched on some of the Iowa State stuff, why he decided to decommit from Iowa State, or I don't even know if he was like, I think he was verbally and he was working out at Iowa State, but I would like to know, you know, why he ended up going to Ohio State and, you know, kind of why he chose Ohio State. It really seems like he picked Ohio State because Ohio State has a brand new wrestling facility and it's like state of the art. And I think he even mentioned in the doc about how this room was so awesome. But I don't know. I thought it was really good. I think that some of these Flow films kind of seem kind of early to me. Some of these guys, it's like the DeSanto one. They did it. I don't even know if DeSanto was even at Iowa yet, but like if they would wait till these guys are done and we got the full story, then it's like we get the full, you know, story instead of just like they do these films like in the heat of the moment, and it's like we only get like the beginning and then like right up to like the part where they're really starting to like take their stride, and then the Flow film's already out already, and so we don't get the full, you know, thing. That's what was cool about like the Colat documentary and the Terry
even the Nahshon Garrett one.
The Nahshon Garrett one, like
I feel like they did it with good timing.
Yeah, so those were already like, you know, those guys I believe were done. And
even DeSanto was very premature because they covered him beating Spencer Lee their senior year of high school, and like DeSanto became like complete wrestling meme like maybe like 6 months after that Flow film came off. Like his story started after that Flow film.
That was just like the beginning, you know.
Yeah, he was definitely still ODU still.
Yeah, but afterwards they did put out a trailer with about Brent Metcalf and Iowa State assistant wrestling coach. Don't get it confused with Iowa Hawkeye Brent Metcalf. But they put out I think it looks like an Iowa State hit piece, to be honest with you. I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of the bullying that Brent Metcalf used to put on Iowa State back in the day. Without further ado, though, I'm still gonna watch it. I thought the most interesting part, though, was him going to Des Moines and going into Subsec, the skate shop in Des Moines, and getting his skateboard fully decked out in all of his like coaching, like, you know, not coaching uniform or anything, but like. It was like cargo shorts, A6 shoes, I'm sure. Iowa State wrestling shirt, just not looking like a skater at all and getting a skateboard. And then they show him skateboarding. It actually looks like he's not bad.
He was doing the stair rails, like legitimate stair rails and things like that. Like Yeah, I think it just showed that he really doesn't care about like his image or anything like that. He's just gonna do what he wants to do, and he's a multifaceted guy.
Yeah, and that skate park is like I've used to
You know what
skateboard
skate
there.
park that was?
Yeah, it was in Ames.
Okay.
Yeah, you've
Oh,
skated that
okay,
before, I'm
sweet.
sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've stopped by there anyway.
Yeah, and I mean that's no joke. So I mean it makes I know they've talked about it before that he used to skateboard when he was a kid, which I feel like there's a lot of parallels between skateboarding and wrestling. As very uh you have to be super disciplined and super dedicated to like your
And
craft
tough.
in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to be willing to take some beatings to get better.
Yeah, and so I could
Yeah.
see, why he would. It's funny because it's one of those things you wouldn't expect those things those worlds to like kind of like, collide like that. But it's just
Yeah.
kind of funny to see him like,
It was, yeah. And it was strange seeing him move like that on a skateboard because, like, I'm 26 and sometimes I'll still get on a skateboard and I'm just like super stiff and just not as graceful as I used to be. And he was moving around pretty fluid on that skateboard.
right.
And yeah, I was impressed.
Yep. That was yeah. So, anyways, that was interesting. It's gonna be painful as an Iowa State fan to go through some of those old memories, but hopefully we'll get to know him a little bit more. He seems like a good
Looked
guy
good.
now. I know he has like the whole bad guy persona and whatnot, but I've heard nothing but
Yeah.
nice things from him. Or about him.
Yeah. And
The next thing we have on the list here, we're trying to keep the ball rolling. Jason Bryant reported that Old Dominion, earlier in the year they had dropped their program, they dropped their wrestling program, and fast forward to May, they announced that their athlete of the year, their male athlete of the year, was Larry Early, who was a wrestler. It's kind of funny. It kind of reminds me of back when the Cleveland Cavaliers actually they had a head coach named Mike Brown, and he got coach of the year, but he also got fired in that same year. So it kind of reminds you of something like that.
yeah, that's a good parallel.
The next thing that we have here, Jorge Masvidal posted a picture today, I believe, with Bo Nickel and Anthony Cassar. Now, I don't know if Anthony Cassar has ever talked about doing MMA or not. I know he's had a lot of shoulder injuries and stuff with wrestling, but he was training today with Jorge Masvidal, who is recent winner of the BMF belt. And I know Bo Nickel actually, he's been pretty vocal about once the whole freestyle thing is over that he wants to get into MMA. I
Yeah.
believe he talked about already that he was going to do some training with American Top Team, and they were going to have some sort of which American Top Team is the gym that Jorge Masvidal trains out of. And I know they're going to have some sort of like satellite gym or some sort of like satellite location, probably somewhere near Penn State, so that way they could kind of feed off, they could get better at wrestling and whatnot, I'm assuming. And it seems kind of like the first, mesh between the two. So it was cool to see that, especially somebody with the celebrity of Jorge Masvidal.
Yeah, it's definitely a big flex for someone like Bo Nickel and Anthony Cesar, just because like wrestling doesn't ever get that kind of like shout outs, I guess, or however you want to put it.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm excited to see Anthony Cassar and Bo Nickel if they're both end up in like the UFC one day. Bo Nickel's
Yeah,
very explosive.
yeah. Well, I also noticed that he put the caption as working on my striking,
Yeah,
which is like,
I think that was a troll. I saw that too.
right.
He posted the caption as working on my striking, and he's working out with two wrestlers. So I think he
Right.
did that because his next opponent, two of the possible next opponents, like most likely opponents, are both wrestlers. So I think he did that to be like, it's pretty obvious I'm working on my wrestling, so I'm just gonna throw
Yeah.
this troll out here.
I mean, yeah, that was pretty like overt, but I was still wondering like why exactly is this guy going to Penn State and
Yeah.
things like that. And looking him up, he had like more of a striking style, so I figured I had to do something with his next opponent.
Yep.
I think also worth noting is apparently Tommy Chong is well acquainted with the wrestling world because he commented a couple flexing arm emojis. So apparently he knows Penn State's the place to go work on wrestling.
I think he actually I think he's one of those guys who has like a bot respond to stuff for him because he's in the comments like everywhere. And I don't think
he's like Cypress Hill or something like
yeah. So I think it's just funny. Like I don't know. I think he definitely
I
pays some
know.
sort of bot to like comment on everything because I see his name
Or
everywhere.
Tommy Chong is well informed.
Yeah,
Who
maybe he's a
knows?
Nittany Lion fan.
He's definitely not just trying to stay relevant.
The next topic here we got on the list. So Henry Cejudo actually defended his 135-pound belt the other night in the UFC 249 in Jacksonville, and afterwards he did a press conference where he was, kind of reminisce a little bit about his wrestling career, and he had a lot of nice things to say about wrestling, and talked about the purity of the sport and how it's the hardest thing he's ever done and this and that. But there was footage leading up to the fight of him actually riding in the car with his team, and his wrestling coach actually they were going back and forth, and they were talking about kind of flirting with the idea of Henry actually going and wrestling and trying out for the 2021 Olympics, which caused Twitter to kind of get in this I don't know, debate, or see whether or not he would make the team or not. And if you look at who's at his weight, I'm assuming it's going to be Spencer Lee, or it could be Dayton Fix, which I don't think you can ever leave the sport for that long and train in a totally different sport. Shouldn't say totally different because there's a lot of commonalities between the two, but I don't think in today's wrestling world, or the wrestling environment that we have nowadays, and how good the USA team is now, I don't think he would make it. I don't think he would even scratch the surface of getting the
No,
spot.
this comment got a lot of coverage, and I think it's just like super silly. Like it shouldn't even be entertained.
I think it would be. I mean, it'd be fun to watch. I mean, the guy did win a gold medal at.
Before he retired, I think in the same tournament he retired, he was almost getting beat by Earl Hall and
Really,
things like that. Like
nothing
it's
wrong with Earl Hall, dude. Iowa State
no,
dish
not at
there.
all.
Iowa
But
State
I'm just
dish.
saying in terms of international credentials and things like that. And if you look back on Cejudo's, even his actual wrestling career, it's pretty short lived. Like besides the Olympics, all he has is like some Pan Am golds and things like that. He was a 4-time champ in high school.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I think it's when you look back at his career, then when he was relevant, I think he was definitely like a crucial figure in like shaping the sport at the time. But like, I mean,
I
Kyle Snyder won it when he was 20, so that record isn't out like relevant anymore. And also, just like I said, his credentials are pretty short lived in wrestling.
I think that the main concern would be the weight cut, because he fought at 125, and then he bumped up and fought at 135, and then after that he was just kind of like, yeah, I'm not going back to 25 because why would I when I'm already the champ at
Yeah,
35? And when you're in wrestling, you have to weigh in the day of. Where in fighting in the UFC and whatnot, in the
right.
MMA world, you weigh in the day before, and then you actually don't fight until like really late at night. So like you're already feeling way better
Yeah, yeah.
than fighting or than wrestling on a 2 hour weigh-in.
It's day of weigh-ins, and I'm assuming he would go 57 kilograms. So
Right.
I
So
don't
I
think
don't know.
he
I
would
feel like,
respond well at all. He's made for MMA.
yeah, but without, I'd love this.
And
I'm
like,
all
yeah,
for it.
57 kilograms is Spencer Lee, Thomas Gilman, Dayton Fix. Like, there's just too many relevant people now to really think that he would be able to throw his hat in there.
Right. All right. Well, we kind of have a couple more, but the last big thing we're going to talk about here is Pat Downey. He's been very vocal on Twitter, as he always has been. Originally, the topic that I threw in here from Pat Downey was he threw out a shot at David Taylor. I think he was trying to get in David Taylor's head. He basically said, I want to read the tweet because I don't want to screw it up, but he says, and I
Yeah.
quote from @PatDowney, "I can't wait to smell this cheater's fear at weigh-ins." At David Taylor, "Y'all think he flying out to training lab to ride bikes and peep heart rate? Wake up, sheeple. If it looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. #training cheaters." And the reason why he's saying that, if you don't follow the MMA world, is the training lab is actually, I don't know if he owns it or not, but TJ Dillashaw, I don't think he owns it, but I think maybe he does. Maybe he's a part owner. But anyways, he trains out there, and TJ actually got busted for EPO while he was out there, and there's all kinds of rumors about, the guys who train there and whatnot. So Pat Downey, I think, in my opinion, is just trying to get in his head a little bit, is trying to get in David Taylor's head. And he's trying to insinuate that he's going out there for EPO and or whatever he's doing. He's like, I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was a funny tweet.
It's crazy. It's super unwarranted. It's just
It
out
was
of
out of
nowhere.
nowhere. Yeah.
Everyone was just minding their business, having a good time, and Pat Downey just came through out of nowhere with this one.
I don't think, and David Taylor didn't respond. In fact, there's I believe a troll Twitter account because his name is John Smith and there's no picture, but but he tweeted, David Taylor doesn't even know who you are. So, no, that's not true, but, I don't know. I thought it was a funny tweet.
Yeah, it's super. It was not received well at all by the
No, they
wrestling
never
community.
are.
Yeah.
Also, David Taylor took to his or not David Taylor. Pat Downey took to his Instagram story and posted. It was like a picture of him in a robe. Like, it was on a story. I didn't screenshot it, or maybe I can't remember if I did. I'll see if I can find it. But he put up a picture of him in like a hospital robe, and it was like a mirror selfie talking about how he woke up naked in a hospital. And then he didn't really say much, and then he ended up posting a little bit later, and you could see his like lip was split up, and he's like, "Sorry, mom," and his mom's just kind of like shaking her head and whatnot. And he's like, all he's saying is he doesn't really know what happened, and he wish he could remember, and this and that. So people were just kind of like, "What the heck's going on here?" He actually got in a car wreck. He got in a pretty bad car wreck, and I believe he was in the car. I don't think he got hit by a car. Do you know?
No, there's really, you can search as much as you want, but there's not a whole lot of clues for what happened with this.
Yeah, I think he got hit, or I think he was in the car and he hit something. But I believe he's all right. He posted a picture of the like hospital report, and it just said like, I think it pretty much just said like, get some rest and whatnot. But there could be some theories going around online that after all that trash talking on David Taylor, that David Taylor sent his goons, out to Maryland to say, "Hey man, we're here."
I bet David Taylor's got the connections. I mean, training lab is kind of dirty.
they sent a hitman from California all the way to Maryland to set him
Also,
up.
I mean, there's just Pat Downey on the loose again. Who knows when Pat Downey's demons are going to catch back up to him?
I'm here for it, man. I feel like he's kind of like, I don't know if you watched the MJ documentary, but there's an episode on Dennis Rodman, and Dennis Rodman's like doing his thing. He's like doing well, and then all of a sudden, I think just the grind of being Michael Jordan's teammate kind of got to him. He's like, listen, he went to Phil Jackson. He's like, I need 48 hours in Vegas. Like, just let me go. If you give me that. And to Phil Jackson's credit, he's like, you know what? That's how this guy rolls. Like, we need to give him 48 hours in Vegas. Michael Jordan was like, no, don't let this happen. We'll never get him back. And they let him, and he came back, and he's like, all right, I'm ready to get back to it. I feel like Pat Downey's kind of that same situation. And when Flo did like a little documentary thing on him, he kind of said that. He's like, if I want to, train hard all day and work my tail end off, and then if I want to have a beer at the end of the day, I should have a beer. So I feel like Pat Downey could be our Dennis Rodman.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and circling back to the David Taylor thing, I think the whole conversation between these two is silly because obviously Zahid Valencia is going to win the whole weight class.
You think so?
I think so. I think he's going to come off of that suspension and he's got it on lock.
As Stephen A would say, he's got to lay off the weed.
Facts emoji.
No,
I mean, also, I just recommend going to Pat Downey's Twitter right now. He's got some good content coming out. He's kind of wilding, but he's saying some good motivational things. Like, I mean, after he's loving this car crash instance, craziest car crash in my life. First time getting knocked out. I survived and will be back better. And then after that, he said, near-death experience equals great perspective changer. MFer might actually make Team USA and win these Olympics. Hashtag Lizard King.
Lizard King, dude.
Earlier in May, he was, I don't know. He seems like he's always not worried about anybody, but I think he's got some people living rent-free in his head because he's tweeting at, like, the Paulson twins and like he's bringing up his junior year at Iowa State whenever his postseason didn't add up, and he's like, he tagged Escobedo and both the Paulson twins. And he's like, "Hey guys, long time no talk. Just wondering, do you guys still stand by your decision you made for me my junior year?"
Oh my
And
gosh.
then just for one last twist, Robin Jackson tweeted at them and said, "Don't get it twisted. The Paulsons have always have been and always will be about their own agenda." And then she put hashtag salty too. So
What?
I don't know what's going on there, but it's getting kind of convoluted between all these beefs.
Dude, I think we might have to do a little digging, dude. I
Uh,
think we might have to
a
do a
sub
little.
segment.
I think it's about time we do our first investigative report. I mean, our second. We did the whole Pat Mineo and
Yeah.
Christian Piles investigation. We might have to do an investigation on that.
This one goes deep. I'm surprised you didn't catch this one because, yeah, Robin. I don't know if I should name drop or not, but Robin Jackson replied. Actually, she just randomly chimed in on this beef, and that was not received well either by for a former coach's wife just chiming in on Twitter like that.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't really put it out there. If it's on Twitter, it's already she's not private or anything, which I'm assuming you don't follow her, so I'm assuming she's a public
It's not
account.
deleted or anything either.
Yeah.
Like this was beginning of May and it's still there. So
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the
it
thing
is
with
what
us.
it is. They stand by it.
If we do any sort of like investigative thing like this, like we're not putting anything out there that's like being told that it shouldn't be out there. We're just reporting on what is out there already.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're not finding anything that anybody else can't find, but
right, we're just bringing it, packaging it together, and giving it to you guys.
putting it into a plot for y'all.
Yeah. That's it for today, though. We went a little bit over on our time period.
Word.
Thanks for joining, everybody. We got more episodes coming, more highlights coming, all sorts of content coming. I think that's a good idea, Tyler. We might have to look into that one.
Yeah, this one's interesting. And if there's anything else we should plug that we can fit in, I saw that actually OlympicChannel.com is coming out with the docu-series about Rulon Gardner called Rulon Gardner Won't Die.
Dang.
And it will come on June 3rd. So maybe that's where the New York Post came from. Just a little update.
We should have a watch party for that and do like an instant reaction.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
by the way, I won that Rulon Gardner eBay listing. I won it. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
I kind of forgot about it after that day, and then I got an email thing saying like you won, and I paid $5, and it's gonna be here. Excuse me. So I'm excited.
There's gonna be
It's gonna be right. It's gonna be
a
somewhere.
definite StaleMates staff picture in front of that Got Milk poster.
Yeah, we're gonna put it somewhere back here, so you always see it. But anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. This is StaleMates episode 9. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, all that jazz. So thank you, everybody.